So guys, I've got an exciting video for you today, just doing another live one, and the main part of this video is going to be about the QUBIC Madrid Conference, which was so exciting and really blew my mind, and I'm going to talk about that in detail in a minute. But firstly, I just want to talk about a few things. So as you're probably seeing, the QUBIC price has dropped down to around $5,800 per billion right now. So this is just a warning. I don't know if this is true, but if you check out most of the top guys on Twitter who, are pretty accurate with these things, they're thinking that QUBIC has hit its bottom and they're buying now. So Braver Crypto is someone that I really like and I follow. He said the bottom has been hit. Then this guy, so he's called Master, really recommend following him on Twitter. And he's into technical analysis. He does a lot of day trading, long-term trading, short-term trading, things like that. And he said, and what I really like about this guy is he's no bullshit. He doesn't quite believe anything. So what he said about QUBIC is, if it's not a scam, because if it is a scam, it'll probably rogue. So I don't believe that QUBIC is a scam by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure he doesn't either, but he's always skeptical, and that's what I like about him. But he said that if it's not a scam, this level where we're just going to right now is where the reversal might be waiting at. So he's saying basically that we're getting very close to that point of where a reversal could happen. So that's something worth checking out. Another thing then is just Crypto D's, who's someone that I really appreciate. Just so that we know, QUBIC is doing the following. They're working on their MetaMask integration, their cold storage wallet, and multiple listings. So the whole market, except for Bitcoin, is in a heavy correction. So don't get too panicked at this time. And that's just good to know. And then next up, for some reason I shared that same thing from Crypto D's, but it's also just something on that came around the QUBIC event and from the QUBIC Discord, is that the MetaMask integration is pretty much complete, is basically what they're sharing now. So that is some more great news. And then, as we can see here as well, they shared yesterday at the QUBIC conference that you can now keep your QUBIC on cold storage with Hash Wallet. So that is really cool. And it means now that you can take your QUBIC off exchanges and store it safely on hardware cold storage. And all of this, a big part of it is because of that announcement that I was telling you about over the last couple of days, which is the QUBIC RPC, which is designed to streamline the integration process for exchanges and wallets. And we're seeing that happening. And those exchange listings, they're going to be coming soon. But on to my most exciting news, which was so I watched the QUBIC Madrid Conference, which this whole conference was in Spanish. And I really recommend checking it out. It's up on YouTube, on QUBIC's YouTube channel. And I really recommend checking it out if you get time. But it's a hard follow, because what was really cool about this is, first of all, watching this, I felt so super early, because as far as I know, there's been no conferences like this in English yet. So I'm watching one in Spanish. And at the same time as the speakers are talking in Spanish, there is artificial intelligence translating that into English. And what's kind of ironic about it is that, the artificial intelligence translator isn't quite there yet. So it's kind of really fucking up some of the translations. So I had to piece together a lot of what the speakers were saying. But it was, the translator was accurate enough that I could piece it together, and I'm pretty accurate in everything that I'm going to share with you here. But it felt like I was at some sort of alien convention for alien technology, shared in a language that I couldn't understand. So the first speaker, I'm going to mess their name up, by the way. I'm an idiot. I just cannot pronounce people's names or a lot of words correctly, as you're going to know with me. But first speaker was called David Vivancos. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this guy was a really interesting person who was sharing where we're at now in terms of artificial intelligence. And, he began by talking about how we as humans have been building tools for a long time. Since, the beginnings of humanity. We've gone through the Industrial Revolution, and since then we've gone through several industrial revolutions. And now there was kind of an area here where I struggled to understand exactly what he was saying, but I think he was saying that we're entering into the fourth industrial revolution. Possibly I could be wrong. Maybe the fourth's already happened and we're entering into the fifth. Again, I'm not clever enough, but this guy was sharing that. Then I think he might have been saying that in many respects, this isn't going to be like an industrial revolution, because what this is going to do is this artificial intelligence, we can't understand where it's going. This is going to replace every job, and it's going to do that within the next 10 years. Every single job is going to be replaced. And he was saying that people are scared of this and people want to stop this. But he said that, if you can't stop this, it's just going to happen. But then he shared that don't be scared, because, people have always wanted to try and stop technology growth. From, first when fire came around, the first people would have been scared of fire. People were scared of motorized cars. People were scared of the internet. People were scared of steam power. People are always scared of new technology. But what he's saying is this is going to replace every job. It's going to improve our lives drastically. It's going to revolutionize everything. He started showing robotics and, a lot of the robotics work that's happening in the world right now. So not only is there intelligence developing out there, but there's also robotics developing that, these robots, that intelligence is going to be able to inhabit these robots within our world. And as he put then, this technology isn't going to be outside of us. We're going to integrate with this technology. And if you're thinking about, like, if I don't have a job, how am I going to feed my family? Well, what I would say to you is your family probably won't have to eat or sleep when this technology develops. And I know that sounds crazy right now, but as time's going on, it's sounding less and less crazy. And the more I'm understanding QUBIC, the less crazy it's sounding. And it's so funny because I talked about stuff like this when I was in college 15 years ago with friends, and we were really like conspiracy nuts at the time we talk about it. And now, top thinkers in the world are talking about this and how it's becoming a reality. The second speaker then was a really cool guy called Jose Sanchez. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then Jose started discussing the science of artificial intelligence. So he was going more into depth on the science of artificial intelligence and the science of artificial neural networks and backward engineering the human brain. And he shared kind of how we think training artificial intelligence is very different to training the human brain. But he was saying how the human brain learns almost everything from experience. When we're babies, we're almost a blank slate. And he was sharing how it takes a few months for a baby to learn to see faces correctly, to distinguish objects and put words to what it's visualizing within the world. And then he was saying how the rate of learning for humans is actually incredibly slow. It takes us months to learn things, while machines can do it super fast, but they just haven't kind of got those cognitive connections happening yet, where they can think more abstractly and creatively. And then he shared really interesting things about how our brains are always making predictions about the world that we're seeing. And one of the things they shared was like when you feel thirsty, you'll drink some water. Now that water doesn't get to the cells of your body or to your brain. I think he was saying I can't remember what he's saying, half an hour or an hour. I'm not sure how long he said. It doesn't really matter. But what he said is that within 10 seconds, your urge for thirst goes, because your brain makes a prediction that you will be no longer thirsty because you've already drank some water. And then where he went on further was he was kind of talking, I kind of paraphrasing him a bit here, but he was talking about how our brains simulate the reality we see, because the reality we are seeing isn't true reality. It's all atoms and waves, but we interpret it into a map of different colors of objects, things like that. And what he was saying is that artificial intelligence can start creating its own maps of reality, and probably its maps of reality will be more accurate than ours. And again, he was sharing the idea of stop thinking of artificial intelligence as being out there, but we're going to integrate with it and it's going to become part of us. So, these first two guys, I'm not sure of their background and their history. So you could say maybe these guys are just, conspiracy nuts like I am, and they're not, to be listened to. But the next speaker was a really, really interesting one, because they came with kind of social proof. So they were called Elena Gonzalez Blanco, and they were a really interesting speaker, who is the head of artificial intelligence at Microsoft. And I thought that was really cool that they had a speaker like this. So Elena, sorry, I forgot to change the slide there. So this is Elena. So Elena is a linguist, and that was kind of her original background. And now she's, the head of artificial intelligence with Microsoft. And she's working on training AI to talk, basically, and to understand all the different languages there are in the world, and understand how to translate between those languages. And she discussed the challenges there and how difficult it is. That it seems it would be just as simple as saying this word means this thing, but she again, I'm trying to understand what she was saying and understand it through the translations that were given imperfectly at this time. But she was saying about how speech patterns are different from person to person and from area to area, and sometimes words don't finish at the same points that words combine into each other, and they don't finish at the same points they would. It's hard to teach computers that. Then she was saying that languages don't necessarily follow the most logical rules, especially when you're translating from language to language, and that's something that they're working on, but they're getting there, and it's advancing every day. And they're trying to get to the point, and they're getting to the point where, you'll be able to speak to Alexa or, whatever assistant that you have, Google Assistant or whatever, and it's going to be able to just talk to you like a human, and able to talk perfectly. And she discussed then that the next phase of artificial intelligence that Microsoft and the whole world is going to be working on is, artificial intelligence that's capable of logical thinking, making choices in abstract situations and having true creativity, not where it's pulling information from databases or pulling data from the internet, but where it's truly able to think on its feet and create new things and think in a different way. And she ended with a really, really cool phrase here, where she said, will robots inherit the earth? And the answer is yes, but they will be our children. And that's a quote from Marvin Minsky, Scientific American, or Immersion, or I don't know. It seems like she got some of the spelling wrong, but anyway, that kind of ruins that quote a little bit. But what's so cool about this, again, what I'm talking about, like, I would have talked about this sort of stuff 15 years ago as an idiot, and I'm still an idiot, but talking about it in conspiracy terms of that, like, man, the future is going to be robots and they're going to be inheriting Earth from us, man. They're going to solve all the problems. But now you've got, like, this woman who's, a head of artificial intelligence with one of the biggest companies in the world, and she is saying that this is coming in the next 5 or 10 years. So the next speaker was probably my favorite speaker, probably the worst actual presenter of the guys. I don't want to be insulting this guy, but he's probably just not as experienced as some of the other speakers who were incredible. This guy, you could tell, was a little bit more nervous, but he was still brilliant. But this guy was called Alberto. I did not catch his second name, but he is, as far as I know, he works for QUBIC, and I think he's a developer with QUBIC. And he was the most interesting speaker because he kind of linked together everything that the other speakers were talking about, and he went into greater detail on it. So he started sharing about how the current 10 largest tech companies in the world concentrate over 80% of total artificial intelligence market. So 80% of artificial intelligence is being developed by just 10 companies, and he was saying how that is an issue because, these companies could use that for nefarious purposes. He quite jokingly then pointed out, Microsoft are good because he saw Elena sitting there. But I think the point that he's getting is that none of these companies are inherently evil and they don't have evil plans, but that by them having centralized control over intelligence, they can abuse that power eventually, and someone could rise up in one of those companies that would abuse that power, and it's not fair to have it distributed. And then he talks about how QUBIC is revolutionary, innovative project that proposes distributed and accessible artificial intelligence for everyone, and it's completely open source. QUBIC is completely open source. So that was one just really cool opening that he had. Then he went on to talk about how artificial intelligence is going to improve life for everyone. That is the goal of QUBIC, is to improve life for everyone, and it's designed for the common good because there's no centralizing power in control. And as we can see here, it says distributed artificial intelligence offers several advantages. It enhances transparency, as anyone can see how the artificial intelligence arrives at its decisions. It democratizes access to artificial intelligence, allowing anyone to contribute and benefit from its capabilities, and it reduces the risks of abuse as no single entity controls the AI's decision-making process. So that's what you got to realize about QUBIC. This is going to be artificial intelligence and blockchain technology, smart contract technology, decentralized applications, transactional power for the people. So then what he really, really talked about that was quite interesting here is he said that QUBIC is a distributed artificial intelligence platform that utilizes useful proof of work technology to incentivize the sum of computing power for the development of an AGI. And what was really interesting about that is he said that they're using useful proof of work. So basically, miners all over the world lend their power to the QUBIC platform, and as they lend their compute power to the platform, they get paid QUBIC in return. And what QUBIC is doing is running a marathon to get the maximum computing power in the shortest time possible. And he went on to say that in a year, QUBIC went from having 1,000 computers providing their computing power to the QUBIC network to 500,000 computers giving their power to the QUBIC network. He then said that they need 10 times more computing power to solve the task that they need. And he also shared that the compute resources in the world are being exhausted right now, and there needs to be developments on that end. But he said that, QUBIC's growing all the time. And he said once they get to that 10 times more computational power, that's when they can then get to power AGART, which is the next step in QUBIC's artificial intelligence models. And then users can use AGART to train their artificial intelligence on very specific tasks. And then he went on to share that that QUBIC is the most efficient platform in terms of powering artificial intelligence, because he was saying that artificial intelligence is super resource, uses up super amounts of resources, and with other companies they're using GPU to power those artificial intelligence, but QUBIC is using CPU, and through that CPU they're way more efficient. And then he shared how QUBIC is super scalable. He said that it can scale to the needs of the whole world for smart contracts, decentralized apps, transactions, and then obviously for artificial intelligence and an AGI. And then he went on and shared a very interesting point, which was, if anyone has worries about QUBIC being secure, he said that QUBIC is one of the most secure platforms out there because of the 676 computers that are on the network. And then he said that QUBIC, even though it uses a proof of work model, it's actually even more decentralized than Bitcoin, because no mining pool can control or manipulate the platform either. And he went into some detail on that. I don't quite understand all the details of that, but it had to do with the various mining pools that they have, and those 676 computers on the network. It says again that QUBIC's mission is to build a future empowered by responsible and accessible AI, ensuring its benefits reach everyone, not just a select few. So again, if you guys have looked into Sergey Ivancheglo, I recommend checking him out. He can be controversial at times, but he seems like a guy who really wants a world where everyone benefits from good things and just has a good life, basically. Then Alberto went on to share QUBIC's potential and some things that I can work on in the future. So, this is beyond, I guess, smart contracts, just transactional power, decentralized apps. He shared that with healthcare, QUBIC's, imagine AGI analyzing complex medical data to assist doctors in accurate diagnosis and personalized treatment plans. It could also accelerate drug discovery and create individualized healthcare. Obviously, he's been realistic and talking about short-term plans. The long-term plan is that, AGI is going to replace doctors and get rid of all diseases and things like that. Or it's going to turn into Skynet and kill us all. That could be the other thing. But then he went on to share that, the education is another part of QUBIC's potential. AGI could personalize tutoring, evaluate student work with real-time feedback, and even create customized educational materials to fit each student's need. Transportation, QUBIC could power self-driving cars, optimized traffic flow, improved logistics are all possible with the AGI. It could revolutionize how we get around and manage supply chains. And then he went on to share energy. AGI could optimize energy production and distribution through smart grids, develop new renewable energy technologies, and even identify ways to conserve energy. And then material science. AGI could significantly accelerate material discovery and development, simulating materials at the atomic level and designing new materials with never before seen properties, leading to breakthroughs in fields like medicine, aerospace, and clean energy. And then we had one final speaker that came on and shared about the hash wallet and being able to store your QUBIC on a cold storage device. But just to go back to this, and I want to take what Alberto was saying there to the last slide, and thinking of the bigger picture. So if we think of the bigger picture of all this potential that QUBIC's talking about here, this is where I've got so bullish, and I see the bigger picture now of what QUBIC is trying to do, because this is an enterprise platform where, firstly, you or I could go and get AI tasks solved, and use AI to help improve our lives. But also, those companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta can all go and use this open source AGI to revolutionize their businesses. All the healthcare systems in the world can do this. So if you think of healthcare in your home country and every other country in the world, they could tap into QUBIC for free and tap that potential. Same with education, for free, tap into QUBIC and bring education to the next level. Think about like countries where people, like in Africa, where people are starving, hungry, have no education, what this can do for their healthcare, for their education. Then again, for transportation, you can imagine what that's going to do, the businesses that are going to tap into this. Same for energy, for making a better world, and the same for just improving science in general. And that's the big picture of QUBIC. Of course, it's feeless transactions. It's open source. Agart's what's going to connect all of this AI together. It's going to be able to run those smart contracts with the burn mechanism, so meaning that QUBIC is going to become deflationary. People can earn passive income from those smart contracts. It's got that useful proof of work model that's putting energy to good use. As it develops AGI, it'll probably find better ways of powering itself. It's got true finality, which Ethereum and Bitcoin and most cryptocurrencies don't actually have true finality. The fastest smart contracts, and it's decentralized, and then it's got oracles that can bridge between the digital blockchain environment and the outside world to draw information in continuously. So guys, if that does not make you bullish on QUBIC, I don't know what is. And now I'm seeing why Sergey Ivancheglo has said that, this could go to $1 trillion market cap and far beyond. I don't know about you guys. I'm excited, but I'm realizing how early I am now. And I recommend, you guys might be looking at those QUBIC prices and waiting for it to drop. My recommendation is, buy it if it drops, but why not buy some now and DCA in, or dollar cost average in, and you'll be part of what seems to be the most revolutionary crypto technology that I've ever seen, and I'm excited to see if it plays out like this. Okay, thank you guys, and I'll see you on the outside.